morning and welcome to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I'm your host, Cheryl Henderson. We want to remind you that AARP is empowering people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization with more than 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate on their behalf, all of them, without regards to politics. Good morning, Becca. What are we doing today?
Good morning, Cheryl. Thanks for having me, and welcome to all of the AARP of Alabama members. We're going to do some yoga today, mindful movement. That's what yoga is all about. So we're going to do most of our sequence today standing up or seated. So you could use a chair to sit in, or you might choose to sit down on the floor with a cushion or a folded up blanket. I'll be giving you those choices as we go along, okay?
That's great, Becca. Yeah, folks, we want you to remember that before you begin any exercise routine, it's important that you check in with your physician and make sure that you're clear to take part in the exercises. And without any further delay, we're going to shift back to Becca.
All right, good morning. And like I said, we're going to do some yoga today. And like Tawana reminded you, we want you to stay safe. We want you to get benefit from this practice. We want to help you stay active. We want to help you get connected, not just to AARP and others in your community, but yoga is really helpful at getting you connected to yourself, right? To bring awareness into your body, bring awareness into your breath, awareness into your mind, all of that. So as we do our movements together, just a quick reminder that we don't want to feel anything that's painful. And sometimes that's hard to decide. Is that a good feeling, that stretch, or is that a bad thing? So I'm going to just give you the guideline of working with moderate or gentle sensation. More sensation is not necessarily better. So don't go for more all the time. Just go for that first feeling of a stretch or of a movement and stick with that. Don't try to push it too far. Okay. So like I said, we're going to do a lot of our stuff either standing or seated today. So for our warm up, you are welcome to sit like in a chair or to stand up. Okay. And if you're standing and you have any concerns about your balance, just stay close to a wall or a piece of furniture. Okay. It could be that chair. Just have it nearby where you can touch it if you need to. All right. So let's start with a couple of deep breaths. All right. So sitting up or standing up tall. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. Let's do that 2 more times, just the breath itself. Deep breath in. Full breath out. 1 more time. Now we're going to keep breathing, but we're going to bring some movement of the arms into this. So on that next breath, sweep the arms out to the sides as high as you can go comfortably in your shoulders. And then exhale, bring the hands together right down to the heart. Bow that head just for a little stretch on the back of the neck. And then again, inhale, let the chin lift up. Maybe you look at the ceiling. Just see what's comfortable for your neck. Exhale, hands and chin down. Let's do that 3 more times. Big breath in. Stretch that whole body up. Exhale, slowly bring it down. 2 more. Remember, your goal is not to try to make your body look like mine does. It may not make the same shapes as my body does because we're all a little bit different in what our bodies can do, what our bodies have been through. So make the movements that feel good to you. All right, drop those arms at your sides. Give me a nice roll of the shoulders. I want this to feel sort of like a little massage for those muscles there at the top. So your shoulders and your upper back. This is a great one to do all throughout the day, especially if you sit at a computer a lot. All right, 1 more of these good shoulder rolls. Leave those shoulders down and back with a little lift in your chest. And then we're going to loosen up the neck. So again, you make the movement that feels right to you. Tip that ear towards one shoulder. And then slowly roll that chin forward towards your chest and across the chest, over to the other shoulder. And up. Okay, right over the top, and we'll do that same circle again. Now, if you want to add a little more, now just be careful. Don't be seduced by the sensation. But if it feels like it's okay, reach those fingertips for the ground as you make this circle. All right, now we're going to reverse direction. So just go to the shoulder on the other side first. Roll forward nice and slow. Up over the top. We'll go one more time in this direction. And up over the top. Head back in center. Release those arms and give them a little shake. Circle the wrists. Nice big slow circles. Go the other way. Now, a little bit of side stretching for the spine. You can still do this from seated in your chair. So if you're sitting down, you can stay right there. Go ahead and reach the arms up and take it over to one side. And you can just drop this lower arm down, reach up through that other side, get nice and long through the rib cage and the waist. One more breath. And bring it back to center. And I want you just to pause one moment and just notice that side of the body that you just were stretching. Compare it to the other side. Notice that there's just a little more liveliness, maybe some tingle in that side you were just stretching. Good. Now let's create it on the other side. Reach up and then go the other way. So you're just dropping one arm down and then reaching up and over. You're standing or you're seated. Keep a firm base into your feet or into your seat on the chair. One more breath. And then release it. Come back to center. Again, just notice how things feel on those two sides of the body. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of twisting for the spine. Okay, a couple of choices for your arms. You could take your arms straight out. You could have a bend to them. That might be more comfortable. If neither one of those work great, cross your arms in front of you, in front of your chest. Okay, so take one of those options. I'm going to go with the middle one. Okay, I'm going to stand or sit tall and then turn to one side. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, turn the other way. You want to see if we can make this movement happening primarily in the rib cage and the high waist. Try not to let your hips move very much. We're going to go one more time to each side. Big breath in the middle. Exhale, twist. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, twist. And then inhale back to center. Let's bring those hands to the heart. All right. Inhale, and we're going to pull back. This is to get our spine going in our back bend direction, and then push forward a little bit rounded. So I'm going to just show you this from the side so you have a sense of what I mean. So inhale, we're lifting that chest, squeezing those shoulder blades. Exhale, getting round. So again, you could be seated, you could be standing. Let's do 3 more. Then we're going to move on to the legs to warm them up next. Nice big breath in and out. Your movements are as big as seem to work well for your body. Last one, pull and push. And then shake it out. All right, so we're going to warm up the legs. If you're standing, you might want to have something to hold on to because we're going to stand on one leg. You can still do this seated. If you want to stay in the chair, you'll just kick one leg out in front of you. All right, so we're going to pick up one foot and circle that ankle. Nice, big, slow circles. If you want to challenge your balance, you try not to hold on. Go the other way. All right. And then release that foot down. Let's do the other side. All right. So pick that other foot up in front of you and circle. Hold on if needed. Maybe try and let go periodically. Seated in the chair, you're kicking that foot out in front and circle. Go the other way. All right, and then back down. Now let's go back to the first leg, and we're going to work with a little knee bending. So straighten or kick that leg out in front like that, and then bend that knee, pull it back. So again, you can do this if you're seated. You can do this if you're standing. If you want to work on that balance challenge, you try and let go. 3 more. Kick and pull. Kick and pull. We're trying to just loosen up that knee. It shouldn't be painful, so don't go that far if it is. Last one. Let's try to hold that leg forward. Just work on a little strength. Maybe lift that leg up a little higher. Maybe. One more breath. Want to start to feel some fatigue in this thigh. No pain, but just some work. And then down. Shake it out. And let's do the other side. All right. So seated or standing, we're going to straighten and bend. So just again, from the side, it looks like this. Pull back, kick out. Hold on if needed. Let go if you want. Make this movement slow, controlled. Good. Last 3. All right, let's try to hold it forward. Stand or sit up tall. Draw that belly in. Maybe lift it a little higher. And then take it down. Shake it out. All right, great work. We're all warmed up. We're going to do some sun salutations. We did these last time if you were with me. If you weren't, no worries. I'm going to go through them all again. You're going to have 2 choices. Really more than 2, but 2 basic choices. Either use something for support, like a chair or a stool or an ottoman, or if you happen to have some yoga blocks, you could use those. Some people might even prefer to go down to the floor for the sun salutation. I'm going to show it using the chair first, and then I'm going to show it using the floor, and then I'm going to come back to the chair. So you'll see the different versions, and you can figure out what you want to try. All right, so we're going to stand tall. Inhale and just stretch up as high as feels comfortable. And then bend your knees as you fold it down and place those hands in the chair. If you're not using a chair, you're taking your hands down to the floor. And then we're going to lift back up, straightening those knees some, maybe not all the way, straightening your arms. And then fold back in. Now we take it to a lunge, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. All right, and you can stay down here on the chair, or you can start to bring those hands up, whatever feels safe for you. Get a nice squeeze in the buttock and try and lift up through that belly. You can do those actions even if you're staying on the chair. All right, and then the hands are down on the seat of the chair, or they might be down on the floor if you're going lower. And we take it back to downward facing dog. This is extended, long arms, long spine. Notice I've got my knees bent because that's going to help me straighten or lengthen my spine. It just feels better to me as well. So keep those knees bent if you like that. You can try and straighten them and see how that works for you. Let's take one more breath. And then we're going to walk it back up to the chair. And we're going to lift into that flatter back. And then fold it down. And now the weight goes in your heels. We're kind of reversing our process at the beginning. So just sitting back with the hips, with the knees bent. Get your balance, coming up for a chair pose. Bring the arms out in front if you're okay there. Maybe up overhead if you want. I'm going to keep them in front of the chest for myself. And then we'll rise, push through the feet, come all the way up tall, and then bring the hands to the heart. Pause for a breath. You can pause for a breath anytime you need to. All right, so that's what it looks like with the chair. Please keep going with the chair if you know that that's a good idea for you. Or remember, it could be something a little different than a chair, like a stool, an ottoman, anything that's sturdy, okay, and gets you a little lift from the floor. I'm going to show this second round going all the way to the ground, okay, in case that's the version that you want to try. All right, so same thing with start. Inhale, reach up. And bent knees as we fold it down. And then a little lift back up. Those hands are either in the chair or come up to those shins or the knees. And then fold it down. Now make sure you step the other leg back. So whichever one you didn't do last time, step back into that lunge. Now I can stay down here on the floor. That's a little low for me, so I'm going to bring my hands up to that front thigh. Now, this can be quite a challenge. So if you tried this one out and realize it's not great for your knees, you should go back to the chair. Hands could come up or maybe even raise tall. Buttocks firm back here. Belly's up. One more breath. And then we're transitioning to downward dog. So your hands are on the chair or you come down to the floor. It's fine to go through hands and knees to get here if you want to. Downward facing dog. Knees are soft. Arms push. Try and get those hips up and back. Take a couple breaths. Good. And then let's slowly walk it forward. It helps to keep those knees bent. Soften those knees. Sit back into the heels, back into the hips. Slowly come up. Get that balance. Chair pose. See where you want those arms. Remember, they could be overhead for a little more work. And then we'll rise up towards the ceiling. Maybe a little back bend. And then hands to the heart. Let's pause. Take a breath. So that was sun salutation going to the floor. Now I'm going to bring back the chair. We're going to do 2 more rounds, okay? You can stick with the floor. You can come back to the chair, wherever you need to be. So here we go. We'll go a tiny bit faster, but you can always do the speed that works for you, and we'll all catch up eventually in our standing mountain pose pause. All right, inhale up. Exhale, fold. Make sure those knees bend as you come down. Inhale, lift a little bit back up. Exhale, down. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Just make sure you're switching legs each time. Anchor that back leg. Really push back. Maybe challenge that balance by coming up. Your choice. And then we'll transition to down dog. Hands come down to the chair and stretch it back. If you wanted to skip any one part of this, of course you could. If one particular piece just isn't feeling great for your body, you don't have to do it. Take one more deep breath here. All right, and we'll walk it in. Lift into that flat back. Then fold it down. And then that transition, weight into the heels. This is a good strength pose. It can be a little hard on knees. Just don't sit too low, okay? If the knees don't like it, keep yourself up a little higher. But still try to get some weight back in your heels. Lift the chest. And then rise up tall. Reach for the ceiling. Maybe taking a little dive back. And then hands to the heart. All right, one more sun salutation. Inhale up. And fold. Lift it back up. Nice full breath. And fold. Good. Lunge. Make sure you take the other leg back. Now remember, you might be hands down on the floor. You could stay right there. You could come up to that front knee. You can try to come off the chair if you want. Maybe you want to explore arms up or even those bent elbows out to the side like we did before. All right, and then transitioning to the downward facing dog. So either hands on the floor, you might start in hands and knees if you're down there. Push those hips up and back. Press firmly with the arms. Lengthen those arms. Good. 2 more breaths. And then we'll walk it in. Soft knees. Walk it in. Come up for that flat back. Fold it down. Weight to your heels, shift the weight, bring the head, the hands, the heart up. Now, I said last time, don't go so deep if you don't need to, but you could decide you want to challenge yourself and you want to sit a little further back. Challenge is only if it's the right thing, right? Not hurt yourself, but challenge. And then rise on up. And hands to the heart. Good. Take a moment. I'm going to pause here. Just check in with your breath. Notice that feeling of being a little maybe warmer in your body, some muscle tingling maybe, some joint awareness, a sense of your heart rate and your breath rate elevated just a bit. All right, now we're going to do just a couple more things for mobility, for stretching the low back and the hips. And having a chair is actually a really great thing for this next one. If you don't have a chair handy, your desktop might work, a table or dresser, even the wall can work in a pinch. Or you can certainly get down and be on hands and knees on the floor if you want to, okay? So we're going to come to a position that gets our feet under our hips, or maybe it's your knees if you're down on the ground. Your hands can be under your shoulders, but if you're on a higher object, they might be a little bit in front. So that's okay. All right. And we're going to see if we can do some rounding of the spine. So tuck the tail, tuck the chin, and get that back up towards the ceiling like a rainbow. And then we'll slowly go the other way. It might help to bend your knees. And start to make that back curve any amount inward, okay? Don't force it, okay? Just go where your body wants to go. And then let's just do that 3 more times. Slow motion like, round it up. And then take it to that reverse curve, that arch. All right, 2 more. Round it up. And reverse that curve, gentle arch. Last one. All right, now we're going to come somewhere in the middle where it feels flat. Take your feet a little closer together, or if you're on your knees, your knees a little closer together. And then we'll pick up 1 foot. And then we're going to draw a circle with that knee. So I'm taking that knee out to the side, around the back, and right back to where it started. So forward, around, back, and in. Now I'm trying not to turn my belly, okay? So I'm only moving with my leg. It may not go very far. It might not be very big. Let's do 1 more. So these are called hip circles. We're just trying to get the hip a little more mobile. Take it down. Notice that your other leg was working. Give it a little walk in place here. Or if you feel like you'd rather stand up to release, you can stand up. Now we'll do the other side. So we're flat in our back relatively and not turning the hips or the belly. All right. So pick up that other foot if you're standing, bent knee, bring it a little bit forward, circle it out. And around to the back and in. Now notice you're working your arms here too, because you're putting some weight through those hands and shoulders. Make it a good push. We're going to do that slow circle 2 more times. One more. Good, and then bring that foot down, give it a little walk out. All right, now just a little bit of circles for the hips in a different way. So feet are a little wider, and give me a swish of the hips over to the side and around, other side and back to where you started. So hips go out to one side, push back slowly, and around to the other side and back to center. Now let's reverse. Go to the other side first. Circle around slow. And 1 more. All right, back to center. All right, let's come off of those hands. So come all the way up. Circle the wrists. Good. Take the arms out to the sides, lift up nice and tall. And I want you to give yourself a hug. Take those arms across the chest. Maybe reach for those shoulder blades on your upper back. Drop your chin down. Notice which arm is on top. Breathe deep into your upper back. All All right, notice which arm is on top. Remember that arm, and then take it out. Big spread of those wings. Other arm on top. We're starting to slow it down. Maybe you notice. You're going to do that same drop of the chin. Spread that upper back. Deep breath in between the shoulder blades. And then release those arms and shake them out. Now we're going to finish with a seated position. So please feel free to sit in the chair. That's where you're more comfortable. You don't get any extra points, for sitting on the ground. It may seem like that's the ideal or what you're working towards, but not so much. Sit wherever you're going to be comfortable. Now that might be sitting down on the ground, okay? So you're either in your chair or you sit down on a cushion or blanket if that works for you. All right, so we're going to start with sitting up tall, dropping that chin towards the chest. Take just a moment here, keep the shoulders drawing slightly back, and just allow the weight of the head to sink forward. And then roll that right ear towards the right shoulder. All right, and then see if you can turn your nose down towards that same shoulder. These might be small movements. Now maybe add a reach away with the opposite arm. If that's too much sensation, bring that hand back to your lap. All right, now bring the hand back if it's out. Roll that nose forward. Pick the head up. And pause a moment. Just take a full breath in. A full breath out. We'll do the other side, so make sure you're sitting tall first. Your shoulders are back. And then the head falls forward. Just the weight of the head. And then you roll the ear over to the shoulder. Do the other side. So maybe it's the left side if you were following my guidance the first time. And then we try to drop that nose. Turn it towards the shoulder. It might be a small movement. And then only if you feel like you need anything more. Remember what I said about not going for too much sensation. If you've got a lot of sensation, leave that hand in your lap. But if it's okay, not much there yet, you can take that hand out and stretch it away. And then release that hand back in, nose forward, and pick that head up. And then pause a moment, just notice how things feel. Take a full breath in and out. All right, now we're just going to finish with just a few more moments of breathing. We're just going to work on our relaxation breathing. This is a basic technique that you can use anytime you want to sort of calm things down, help yourself get ready to sleep, whatever it is that you might need in terms of relaxing and letting go. So you'll work with your breath. You'll inhale just a comfortable amount, and then you'll try to exhale slow. As slowly as possible. And again, just inhale normal. But then you sort of put the brakes on as you exhale. Exhale slow. This could be through the nose. It could be through the mouth. We'll keep this going. Inhale through the nose. Just a regular full inhale. Exhale, slow motion. And this time at the end of the exhale, when you're finished exhaling, just see if you can pause. Just hesitate. And then let your inhale come in as soon as it needs to. But you're starting to look for some space at the very end of the breath. After your exhale is finished, is there a quiet moment there where you don't need to rush into the next inhale and you can pause? Let's do 3 more. We're working on that long, slow exhale. And any amount of pause after the end of the exhale. Last breath. Finish that exhale. On the next inhale, go ahead and just lift the hands to your heart. We take a moment just for gratitude. You can be thankful to your body. You can be thankful to your breath, thankful to the opportunity that AARP has given you to connect to one another and to your bodies. And I thank you as well for joining me today for yoga. I hope to see you next time.
Thanks, Becca. Folks, we're going to take a short commercial break and then come back and let Becca answer a couple of questions we have. All right. Thanks, Becca. It was a great show this morning. We had a question I thought was pretty important. You see this one? Mm-hmm. One knee is more sensitive than the other. What's the best way to adapt?
Well, because that one knee maybe has, some history that the other knee doesn't have, such as an injury or surgery, you're going to have to treat that knee a little differently in terms of, if that knee doesn't bend or straighten as far as the other one, then you modify. You don't try to force that knee to go as far as the other one. However, it might be helpful to move that knee a little more frequently than, say, the good side, right? So if you've got one side that just doesn't have as much mobility, don't try to force it. That might create pain, but do give it more attention, let's say. So you might do, do the exercise on that stiff knee, do it on the other knee, and then come back and do it again on the stiff knee, so that it gets a little more repetition and it might have some opportunity to, quote unquote, catch up with the other side. But never try to force it to do something that seems to aggravate it, hurt it, or give you pain later on.
That sounds good. I hear your physical therapy work coming through there, Becca.
Yeah.
Here's another one. It's a little bit easier. Question about a mat.
Oh, yeah. Good question. There's lots of differences, and you could spend a lot of money on a yoga mat if you want to, but I will tell you that most of that is just sort of hype. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people who are really prefer their special mat, but the primary purposes of our mat are to keep you off of a floor that you might not want to touch, so like a barrier, to give you some cushion for your body, especially say your knees and your wrists. Okay, so if you've got tenderness at your kneecaps, then you want something that's a little bit thicker. You may want that extra cushion. And then the other purpose that a mat might give you is to give you some grip, so that you're not going to slip or slide. So like if you were trying to do, say, a downward dog on a slick hardwood floor, it might be hard to stay put, so that the mats typically give you some kind of grip. So you want at least 1/4 of an inch thick mat. That's kind of the minimum thickness that you want to go for, but some people may want something quite a bit thicker than that if they've got that sensitivity at their knees. Of course, you can always use a blanket to account for when you need that extra cushion at your knees. You don't have to go for a extra special thick mat necessarily. Okay. And then there's also, as she mentioned, some different lengths. Now, most folks are going to do fine with the standard length, mat, but they do make extra long mats, which might be great if you're a longer person. Okay. And you'd like to be able to stretch out your full body and not have your feet hanging off the end of the mat. Okay. So that's just a personal preference as far as whether you want that longer mat or not.
All right. Have you had a problem with mats that were maybe a little bit too slick?
Some mats are really slick when you first get them, right? And so they kind of take some breaking in. The best way to get a mat broken in is to, kind of leave it out, walk on it, not in your shoes, but just kind of let it get some exposure. Sometimes there'll be instructions with the mat that'll kind of give you some instructions for how to sort of break it in, maybe with some washing or wiping it and that kind of thing. They can be, especially I find some of those fancier mats can be kind of slick, but your basic mat generally is going to give you some of that grip and some of that texture. And a good place online that's really reasonably priced is yogadirect.com. They've got all kinds of yoga supplies and props, and they have all the basic stuff at pretty much the best prices that you can find around. So if you're looking for something and you don't want to go out to a store, you could use yogadirect.com. Of course, most of your sporting goods and even Target and Walmart are going to have a basic yoga mat as well.
All right. Thanks, Becca. Those are great tips to keep in mind. I hadn't even thought about the having to prep the mat before you use it.
It takes some breaking in. Sometimes they're a little slick when they come from straight from the manufacturer. So usually that slickness will go away with some use.
All right. Well, thank you. Folks, thanks for joining us for Mindful Movement, and we'll see you again next Tuesday at 10. Take care and stay safe.